Hello, here is Swami Rama's translation and discussion on verse 4 of the Mandukya Upanishad on Om mantra. Here's the verse. The second aspect is the dreaming state, tejasa. In this state, consciousness is turned inward. It also has 7 instruments and 19 channels, which experience the subtle mental impressions. And here's the discussion. In the dreaming state, tejasa, the mind is inwardly aware and recalls the subtle impressions of previous experiences stored in the unconscious mind. The dreaming state of consciousness is also said to have 7 instruments and 19 channels because in dreaming the mind creates the objects of enjoyment as they are found in the external world, and it enjoys them as if it were in the waking state. In dreams, the mind tries to create all the objects that it could not enjoy during wakefulness, and thus it tries to satisfy suppressed and unfulfilled desires. Under the influence of ignorance and desire, this state is experienced as if it were real. During the waking state, the mind uses the senses for experiencing the objects of the world and employs them for interpreting different types of objects. But in the dreaming state, the mind has withdrawn itself from the senses, and so the flow of impressions stored in the unconscious mind during the waking state comes forward. The dreamer dreams for a reason. There are still desires to be fulfilled. When the body and conscious mind take rest, suddenly impressions hidden in the unconscious come forward from the storehouse of merits, demerits, and memories, in want of fulfilling those desires. So the mind creates an image of the object to fulfill that desire. This is the nature, the functioning, the beauty of how a human being is structured. If one cannot fulfill a desire in the waking reality, dreams fulfill it in the dreaming reality. In the waking state, one pushes back all his unfulfilled desires and keeps them pending. Just as one piles papers on his desk, desires are piled up in one's unconscious, and so during dreaming they all come forward. Then, just as one's secretary brings all the piles of paper and one disposes of them, likewise any desire that is left behind unfulfilled is fulfilled during the dreaming state. Desires that are not fulfilled in the waking state are fulfilled in the dreaming state. But the dreamer is still not satisfied when he awakens, because when he comes back to the reality of the waking state, he forgets the reality of the dreaming state. If the dreamer remains in the dreaming state, he can fulfill all his desires by himself. If the dreamer wants something, it is there with him. His desires can create all the things that he needs. The difference is that in the waking state, one employs the senses to collect data from the external world, but in dreaming, one recalls the experiences of the past. Thought patterns, desires, and feelings that want to be satisfied in the external world but are not, are expressed in the dreaming state. This is considered to be therapeutic, and throughout history, the dreaming state has therefore been regarded as a useful mode of consciousness. Although dreams may not be important in themselves, they are useful as a means for providing information to waking consciousness. Since waking consciousness filters out a great deal of useful information that comes through the senses, memory, and extrasensory perception, dreams have been used by the waking consciousness to gain access to some of this information. In the dreaming state, one processes experiences in a way that psychoanalysts have termed primary process functioning. Here, symbols are used to express multifaceted aspects of experience, and consciousness is not limited by time, space, and causation. In the dreaming state, causal and temporal logic is replaced by symbolic expression. Dreaming consciousness is complementary to waking consciousness, but generally many people have not established any link between the waking and dreaming states. Though modern science has shown that almost everyone dreams several times each night, many people are not aware of having had any dreams when they awaken. They are like dual personalities, living one existence during the day and another at night, and the two remaining largely unknown to each other, with the two remaining largely unknown to each other. There are various ways to make connections between these two modes of consciousness. Some people have partially integrated the two states by remembering or analyzing aspects of their dreams in the waking state, and by bringing their self-awareness and self-regulation into the dreaming state. That's the end of the discussion on verse 4 of the Mandukya Upanishad. Next we will come back and talk about Swami Rama's translation and discussion of verse 5. Thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying this. It's all about Om. This Upanishad is all about Om. It's a very, very succinct summary of the levels of consciousness and the sadhana mapped out by the Om mantra. Bye-bye. Om Tat Sat.